Hello, what's up YouTube? Ronnix with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to show you guys how I did the color grading and retouching for my official birthday portrait. So I didn't have time to go to studio to take photos, and I took this somewhere indoors. So basically I want to show you guys what I did when I was color grading, because most of you guys fell in love with the colors. And before you can go ahead, I want to request you guys to hit the like button on this particular video so that YouTube can push it to more people out there. I've realized most people don't tend to hit the like button on these videos, yet they really provide enough knowledge for you for better understanding to color grade and retouch your images. So let me just request you to hit the like button, and when you're done, we shall proceed with this specific tutorial. So let me hope you're done hitting the like button. So usually I start off in Capture One, and the version I'm using is the latest version, Capture One 21. And my adjustments are on the right hand side like we have in Camera Raw or Lightroom. So if at all you want to have them this way, you can simply come to Window, Workspace, then you come to Migration, and you have them the way I do have them here. So the very first thing I do when I'm going to color grade my images is first of all correct the photo in Capture One. So I'm just going to come to the highlights or the high dynamic range and turn it down, and do the same for my whites to get back information in the image. Then anything I do is adding blacks or contrast to the image up to around 22, and I open up the shadows a little bit. Then I come to the contrast slider and turn it up to around 5. Then I'm going to add some clarity to around 5 too. Then in order to add more or richer contrast into the image, I come to the levels and I pump up the blacks just around that one is fine. Then I also pull in my whites just like that. So right now the image is really looking nice and contrasty. So the next thing I prefer to do is coming all the way down to where it says ICC profile and come and change it to Pro Standard to eliminate the magentas embedded rather in Canon cameras. So that is what we have to do. So you don't have to mind about the background or the distractions, because we're going to be fixing all that in today's tutorial. So after I've done all the basic adjustments onto the image, the next thing is coming to the adjustments. I want to do the color grading on this image. So right click, I'm just going to come here, right click and come and create a new field adjustment layer. Then I'm going to right click, so you can name this maybe color grade if at all you really want. And after doing that, I'm just going to match or even out the skin color or the skin tone. So I've realized most of you people tend to have issues matching the skin tone or skin color in your images. So this is the step for you, and if at all you master it, you're going to be getting more nice and professional skin tones in most of your images. So just going to come to where it says color editor and come, you can see we have basic, advanced, and we have skin tone. So just going to come to skin tone, make sure it is selected, and get my color picker tool. So use Ctrl Command plus on the keyboard and hold down the space bar and left click to drag. So I basically want the rest of the skin to look like a particular area. So I'm just going to target that area that I want the rest of the skin to look like. So I'm just going to target this area right here. And when I click there, you can see that it has given me the color range for that particular area. So I'm just going to zoom out, Command minus, because I want to see everything in real time as I'm trying to match the skin color or skin tone. So this is the range of the colors. Remember, skin tone contains yellows, reds, and some magentas plus oranges, and some little bit of greens. That's why you can see it has selected this. So come under the uniformity slider and start moving this towards the right hand side, just like that, and you can see the skin is turning out to look really even and natural enough. Then I'm going to come to the saturation and also turn up the saturation a little bit. So, and as you can see now, the skin is really looking to be uniform, and we don't have those kind of magentas within the skin tone. So I'm just going to come back up to the basic adjustments. And for this particular color grading, I would just want to reduce on the highlights like that, and do the same for my whites, so that I can have a richer skin tone complexion. So that is it for capture one, and I'm just going to export this image into Photoshop so that we can do the color grading and cleaning up of the distractions in the background. Right here you can see we have so much going on, and we just want that kind of plain background. So I'm just going to come to image and come to edit with, then Adobe Photoshop, and for settings I prefer a TIFF file and 16-bit as usual, because I want to deal with so much information to work with in this image. And option, I don't want the image to be compressed at all. Resolution 300 pixels, and the scale is fixed at 100%, and hit edit variants to open the image into Photoshop to do a skin retouching, removing of distractions, and the last bit of color grading. And if at all you're enjoying this, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe this channel if at all you are watching and haven't subscribed this channel. So right now we are in the magical world of Photoshop, and the very first thing I do when it comes to Photoshop is cropping the image in a ratio of 4:5. So come and get my crop tool and come the settings of the crop ratio. So I prefer 4:5 or 8:10 because I want the image to fill up the whole screen on Instagram when I post it. So just going to hit this and click and drag it up slightly, and I could drag in the corners just a little bit so that I can have myself into the center of this framing. So hit enter on the keyboard. So we have gotten rid of the soft box right above there. So usually I'm going to first of all create a copy from the background by hitting Ctrl Command J on the keyboard, and come and get my pen tool. So you can use P for the pen tool. So I just want to select the distractions in the image. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come right here, zoom in, Command plus or Control plus, and start drawing just like that. So you simply left click and make points just like that. So I'm just going to make points over my shirt right here. So remember, just want to select the distraction from the image, and I just want to clean up the background. So you can just come and click just like that. Simple, nice and easy. So you have to take your time so that you can really have something really beautiful and precise. So don't rush through this process. Just come and click. So click outside the image as you're moving up to when you reach a point whereby you started making points. Right click and come to make selection, and radius I prefer 5, and anti-alias is selected, and just hit OK. And I'm just going to make a second selection on this other side of the image. So let me just start from right here and draw points. So I'm basically trying to select the distractions in the background so that I can just try to clean up those distractions in the background of this image. So I'm trying to rush through this process because I don't want to this be a pretty long tutorial, and I don't want to forward anything regarding this very tutorial, so that you can understand and see the amount of work I put in when I was trying to do the editing for my official birthday images. So let me just come and click just like that. So let me just Command Z if at all you make a point that you don't want. And I think we are almost done with this. And just calm down. So you can zoom out, Command minus, and come and join these points from where you started. So right click and come to make selection, and this time around come to add selection and hit OK just like that. So just want to remove the distractions right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come the brushes, right click and get a soft round brush. The setting hardness is at 0, opacity and the flow at 100. So I'm just going to hold down the alternate key on the keyboard and left click to sample this color in the background area. Increase on the size by using the brackets on the keyboard and simply paint over that, because I already made a selection and it is really a refined selection. Come and sample from the lower part and paint just like that, and you can see that he's cleaning up those areas. Alternate, left click to sample from this other side and simply come and paint over just to eliminate that distraction from that area. So you can use Ctrl Command D to deselect, and you can see it has really done a pretty nice job. And you can as well come and eliminate the one on top. Reduce on the size of a brush, alternate click and simply paint just like that to get rid of that distraction in that area. So you're just going to be cleaning that up later on in this tutorial. So for my retouching, I don't want to go through the usual step-by-step skin retouching process because I have so many tutorials about that. I'm just going to show you guys the before and after for cleaning up of the background. And I'm just going to merge these two layers by hitting Shift Ctrl E or Shift Command E on the keyboard. And I'm going to come to my actions, and those interested in my retouching essentials pack or my actions, they are available for purchase, and the link is going to be in the description of this very video so that you can purchase and speed up your retouching process like I'm going to do right now. So come and play my 16-bit action, and as it is playing, I'm just going to look for the area of the skin. So since I want to blur out the details in the skin area, I'm just going to move this up to that point when I'm starting to lose out on the details in the skin area, and I think at 7 pixels it is where I have started losing out on the details. So come and hit OK, and the action is going to continue playing. So I'm just going to turn this off. So you can see this is the image, and this automatically creates for me a black and white layer. So as you can see, as we are cleaning up the background, we had these unevenness, and you can see them. It is more of a check layer. That's why we need the black and white layer to guide us every single time we are trying to retouch. But for this case, I'm just going to come and I turn off the black and white layer and also turn off the texture layer. So the image is going to look a little bit blurry, but to retouch better, you have to see those skin tone inconsistencies. So I'm just going to come back to the brushes and come and get the mixer brush tool. For settings, make sure it is a clean brush, and make sure the second option is checked because we don't want the brush to be loaded with any color. We just want the brush to be clean every single time we're trying to blend or even out the skin tones. So remember, that is all skin retouching is all about. Weight is 9, load 75, mix 90, and the flow 100%. So I'm just going to zoom in right here and start blending. So left click, it is a soft mixer brush tool. The hardness is at 0. So left click and start painting on the skin color or skin tones so that you can have a more like a painting kind of look. So you shouldn't mind if at all the image is turning out to look like that kind of oil painting. So just come and increase on the size. So you have to paint on areas that look really similar. So you can see I'm not dragging my brush from one area to another. I'm just trying to blend the color that looks a little bit alike. So just come and paint just like that until you feel like the image is turning out to look like that kind of oil painting. And the more it looks like that, the better the results you're going to be getting out of your skin retouching. So make sure that you do that. So come to the nose area and just blend those skin tones that don't look like even enough. So just come, and we are just more of creating that kind of smudge effect using the mixer brush tool, and I'm basically left clicking and dragging my cursor from an up down or a sideways formation depending on how an area is shaped in this very image. So just paint just like that, and you can see that it is really working in real time, and I hope you can see the results. So I'm just going to zoom out and you can see that. So when I turn on the texture layer, you can see that it looks really nice and better, and we have just evened out the skin tones in the image. So I'm just going to zoom in and come back to the image. I'm sorry, I'm not well, if at all you have noticed this. So just come and paint like that. So turn off this so that you can see every area that has uneven skin tones or skin color, and simply paint on those areas just like that. And I hope you can see how this is working out. Command minus and increase on the size, and right now just want to even out the hands just like that, and you can see that this is really working on the image in real time. And when it comes to male portraits, don't over retouch, so less is really enough. So just come and paint just like that. So we're basically trying to even out the skin tones using the Mr. Brush tool, and reduce on the size and just even out every single area you feel like you should work on in the image just like that. I don't know how many times I've mentioned just like that in this tutorial, but I just hope you get the picture. So let's see what we have done so far. Turn on the texture layer and you can see the before and after, and the image really looks nice and beautiful. So like the final thing for skin retouching, just come the lasso tool. Feathering is 22 pixels because we want to select on the skin area. Increase or zoom in by using Ctrl plus on the keyboard, and come and draw that very nice shape on the skin area that you want perfect. So this is more of a perfecting step. Come to filter, blur, and come to Gaussian blur. And now move this radius to the right hand side up to a point when you feel like you have the best out of the skin details. So I think at around 21 pixels I have a nice texture. But the trick I usually use when it comes to this step, I simply multiply the radius I used when I was multiplying or applying the frequency separation onto the image by 3. So whichever radius you may have used, just multiply that by 3, and 7 by 3 is 21, and just type it in and apply onto the rest of the image. Right click and come to Gaussian blur just like that. And I hope you can see how this is turning out to look. So for this step, I only apply it on the face and I don't apply it onto the rest of the image. So the next thing is going to be removing the blemishes. So that's the before and after for skin retouching. Come to the high frequency layer and come to the clone stamp tool. Ctrl plus to zoom in because we want to deal with the blemishes and clean up the image. So you can increase on the size. So when you select the clone stamp tool, opacity and the flow at 100%, and the hardness I'm going to be using 39%. Hold down alternate to copy, alternate left click to copy from a clean area and paste that clean area over the blemish. So that is how I clean up the image using the clone stamp tool. So I'm just going to do this, and within a minute or less we're just going to be done removing these blemishes or skin imperfections from this very image. So you can reduce on the size and work on a smaller area if at all you really want to work on that area. So I'm just going to clean up or remove less of the blemishes, and I think we are almost done removing the blemishes because you just want to do a little bit more of the color grading or fine tuning of this particular image. So I think that looks fine. Command minus to zoom out. So we are done doing the skin retouching on this image, but I want to do a little bit of cleaning up of the background before we can do the final color grading process. So I'm just going to create a stamp visible layer by hitting Shift Alternate Command E on the keyboard and come back to the mixer brush tool. Still same settings, wetness is at 9, and simply start painting on the background so that I can merge these colors and blend them quite well. So just come and paint, and as I'm doing that, I have to keep away from the subject as much as possible so that I don't distort the colors of the subject. So just come and paint just like that, and you can see that now the background is really nice and seamless, and it is really looking nice and clean. So the next thing we want to do is we just want to uh, come and duplicate this. So let's just clean up down here. Create another layer by hitting Ctrl or Command J on the keyboard to duplicate that, and come back to filter and come to the camera raw filter so that we can do the final color grading on this image. So what we're going to do is just going to come to the basic adjustments and turn down the highlights just a little bit to around a -12, and also do the same for the whites. And you can see the skin tone is now getting richer. So just going to zoom into the eyes so that we can whiten them. Command plus, come the adjustment brush tool, and for the settings we're just going to desaturate or remove the yellows from the white area of the eye. So I'm just going to go with around -24. And since we have greens, the opposite of green is magenta. So in order to remove greens from the white area of the eye, just simply push this up. So I'm just going to go with 64. And to make this pop even more, or the white area to pop, highlights at around 4 and do the same for the whites. And since we have other random colors in the white area of the eye, simply come and desaturate to around -60, and simply left click and start painting over the white area to apply that kind of whitening effect onto the eyes. And you're going to do eye and teeth whitening. So space bar, left click and click to drag and come to the second eye. So you have to be careful not paint over the skin or other areas, only paint over on what should be the white area of the eye, and come to the teeth and do some little bit of teeth whitening. So like I said, paint at an individual tooth at a time to do teeth whitening, just like that. And I think we are done with that. I'm just going to reduce on the size by using the brackets and simply whiten these two. And I think we are done doing the eye and teeth whitening. Command minus to zoom out. And right now the image really looks really powerful. I'm just going to hit OK to open the image back into Photoshop to do the final color grading process. So I'm just going to come to selective color and come to the yellows and simply reduce on the yellows. Then come to the blacks and intensify on the blacks to around 5 and add some kind of yellows into the image so that it can really pop more. Then I'm going to come to the black and white adjustment layer and come to the blend mode, change it to multiply, and simply reduce on the opacity of that effect. And I think that looks nice and beautiful. Then I'm going to come to the burn tool, and after selecting it, create a stamp visible layer by hitting Shift Alternate Command E on the keyboard. And the range, I'm going to select midtones or exposure at 35 and simply paint over. So I just want to come and paint over this hair area to darken it a little bit more, just like that. And I think that looks fine. Command minus to zoom out. So let's see the overall before and after for skin retouching and color grading. So this is the before and after, before, after. I hope you can see what I did on these images. And if at all you have loved this, don't forget to like this video. So anything after retouching has to be saving your images so that they don't change in color after you have been able to retouch them in Photoshop. So simply come to File, Export, and come to Export As. And after coming to Export As, the next thing is going to be coming to the format, and of course we want a JPEG file. And resampling, make sure you select by cubic sharper because we want the sharp image at the end of the retouching process. And now the next thing has to be, if at all you don't want the image to change in color after you have been able to retouch and color grade it, come and turn on convert sRGB and also embed the color profile. And when that is done embedding those colors, it's going to turn this maybe into blue, and simply hit export. And you can rename the image to whatever you want. Maybe I can name it a birthday because this was my birthday portrait shoot, and simply hit save in order to save the image after retouching. And if at all you have loved this tutorial, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe this channel. If at all you have been watching from this channel for the very first time, Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in yet more amazing tutorials, and don't forget to keep practicing and keep creating.